Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage from the UN, Heidi Schroderus-Fox.
A very good evening, boa tarde to all of you here. It's always a little bit challenging to moderate the last session of a very long day of long discussions. You've heard many things, many words have been said. So I will try to be very short in my discussion. And really, I have such an inspiring story and such inspiring young people to introduce to you very soon. So my office is the Office of the High Representative for the least developed countries, landlocked developing countries, and small island developing states. 91 countries that are the most vulnerable UN member states. And 47 of these countries are least developed. Least developed countries have multiple challenges. Many of the challenges you've been talking about here today, they relate very much to energy, energy access, sustainable energy. When you look at the numbers, 87% of the world's population have access to electricity on a daily basis. In the LDCs, less than half of the people have access to electricity on a daily basis. 500 million people living in LDCs have no electricity. So this is a challenge, and as we are looking at trying to get SDG 7 implemented, these are the countries that are lagging the furthest behind, and this is the theme of our work here today, leaving no one behind, making sure that all those who are lagging the most behind, that we put together these partnerships that have been just discussed in support of these countries. So we have been working with many partners, many of you are here today, but we were really thinking, how can we shed light to this problem? How can we shed light to the issues of the LDCs, the communities who are living without electricity? And so one of the ideas that came about is to invite young journalists from LDCs to tell their stories, to tell the stories of their communities, the people, of what it is to live with limited or no access to sustainable energy. And also really bring out the stories of those communities. So we invited journalists from these 47 countries to write to us and bring us their stories, and we called it Voices of a Brighter Future. So the competition focused on sustainable energy, and we received very many inputs to this competition. The journalists shared their stories about entrepreneurship, about perseverance, innovation of their communities, but also the challenges that they are facing. 50 or more came in from 19 different countries. And we put together a very high-level panel who then selected the winning contributions. It was a very hard task because the level was very, very high. It was a very exciting task. So these winning stories of the journalists are now on display. If you go to the second floor here in this building, we have an exhibition where you can see the pictures of the journalists, get ideas of their stories, and really get to know what they are all about. And of course, all of these stories you can also find on our website in their full. There's a magazine that we have been putting together for this. So we hope that these stories will inspire you in your work, in our collective work in support of the implementation of SDG 7. I would really like to extend my warm thanks to Sustainable Energy for All and Rachel Kite and her team, who have been great supporters of this competition. Rachel Kite served as one of the judges in the panel, and selected these winners. And we've also worked with the UN Office on South-South cooperation, and the government of Norway has provided us with strong support. So now I would like to present to you Voices from a Brighter Future. It's my great pleasure and honor to invite to the podium the winners of the competition. First, I would like to introduce to you Mr. Kossi Balao from Togo, Kossi wrote an article on how solar electricity brings hope to farmers. Congratulations, Kossi. Second winner is Miss Sèna Libla from Benin. Congratulations. Sèna wrote us her radio story, gave us a glimpse of new economic opportunities that access to energy opens for women. Third winner is Mr. Moo Sang from Senegal. Congratulations. Musa wrote a story about the need for better solar equipment in his communities. Fourth winner is Mr. James Chavula from Malawi. Congratulations. James wrote a story on smoky kitchens and cooking crisis in Malawi. And the last journalist joining us today is Miss Florida Zossoungbo of Benin. Congratulations. Unfortunately, 3 journalists of the winning category were not able to travel with us today. And this also really shows you that the difficulties that people in these countries are facing. There are challenges with travel. I would in particular like to mention them here. Miss Safia Mahdi from Yemen. Her story from Yemen highlighted the hope of sustainable energy brings even in the midst of a very difficult conflict. Her story is very inspiring. I really encourage you to look up her story on the internet, and you can meet her in pictures upstairs in the exhibition. Also, Mr. Abu Bakar Siddique of Bangladesh, who wrote a story on solar street lamps and lighting up rural Bangladesh village. And Mr. Milo Milfor from Haiti. His article underlined the important role of private sector in making last miles happen again. So my warmest congratulations to all of you, and can I invite everyone just one more time? We are really so pleased to have you all here. It's been a long journey for you. Some of you are outside of your countries for the first time. It's a great special honor for us to have you here. So if I can just ask you briefly to step forward and tell in a few words something about your story, who you interviewed for that, and so on.
My name is Balao Kossi Elom. Actually the editor-in-chief and CEO of Africa Web. Africa Web is a journalism company dedicated to in-depth reporting about issues that matter most to Africans. My story was about solar electricity. I went to a remote village in Togo, and I found that people living there do not have access to electricity. They were living in dark, and they do not have full phone charge battery. And for me, it was really an issue. And actually, the problem was solved by 4 women with no formal education. They went to India to study solar electrification, and they came back to the village to install solar electricity in every household. And now, everyone in the village have electricity, and they are making more money, more profit, and they have now money to pay their children's school fees. And I think it is a very important thing.
Bonsoir à tous. Je m'appelle Libla Sèna Libla, je suis journaliste, présentatrice et reporter à la Radio nationale du Bénin. Et mon histoire, c'est le portrait d'une femme qui vend de la bouillie. Elle installe sa marchandise, son étalage sous un lampadaire solaire déjà à partir de 17 h. Et elle a la possibilité, grâce à ce lampadaire, de faire beaucoup de bénéfices parce qu'elle est là jusqu'à 23 h de la nuit. Ce qui lui permet de suivre ses enfants qui viennent là pour apprendre leurs leçons le soir et ce qui lui permet aussi d'avoir beaucoup de clients qui s'arrêtent à cause de ce lampadaire solaire qui est installé juste en dessus d'elle, de là où elle vend. Donc, elle m'a beaucoup, j'ai été beaucoup impressionnée par elle parce qu'en rentrant les soirs après le boulot, je la vois jusqu'à tard dans la nuit, alors que ses autres collègues qui vendent de la bouillie dans le même quartier, déjà à 19 h, c'est le noir total chez elle, alors que chez la dame sur laquelle j'ai travaillé, c'est l'électricité parfaite.
So my name is Moo Sang. I'm an independent journalist which challenge is to tourist country to narrate everyday stories and unknown problems of rural people in Senegal. And this is the story of a village in the center of Senegal, which is part of the 60% of villages that has not electricity for the moment. And they are very ingenious because they use solar panels to cover their little needs in energy, and that has radically changes their life because, for example, they used to make more than 18 kilometers to only charge their phone. And what marked me the most is that in the days I was there, the only word I heard were we just need better solar equipment because those they have actually cannot run some materials like refrigerator or ventilator, and they don't have enough money to buy more efficient equipment, and also they don't have enough money to afford the traditional energy if ever it comes. But what marked me the most is that the majority of the villages didn't ever go to school, but they told me about issues like reduction of pollution, environmental conservation, and those issues that I'm hearing here in this forum. And that's what I wanted to share with you.
Okay.
My name is James Chavula. I come from Malawi. I work for Nation Publications, and I'm one of the trainees of HIVOS, Southern Africa. Thank you. My story is the story of about 3 billion people who don't have access to clean energy. In Malawi, most of these are women. They wake up early, much earlier than men. They have to walk long distance to fetch firewood. My story was set in Zomba, which is the former capital of my country. I was going up a mountain. To visitors, it's a tourist attraction. But going up the hill, you meet groups of women walking long distances, going up to fetch firewood. And as forests are vanishing, you find that these women, the distances are getting longer and longer. They have to spend up to 8 hours, sometimes 10, fetching firewood. When they get those bundles, and usually huge bundles of firewood, they have to walk up to 10 kilometers to get home. But at the end of that, at the end of those long walks, they end up in kitchens that are filled with smoke. And you see them, they are coughing, they are sneezing, they're enduring respiratory diseases that are killing one in every 8 seconds. But that's not the end of life for them. In Malawi, the clean cook stoves are changing lives. They are saving trees. They are saving women from going to the mountain, walking long distances now and again. I talked to a woman who has spent all her life making those long walks, sometimes even going with children who are supposed to be in school. But because of a cook stove, a bundle of firewood that once used to take 3 or 4 days now takes about 10 to 15 days. So she doesn't have to endure those trips every day. And then because the wood is burning in full, there aren't as much smoke in her kitchen, and she says her health is better. That's my story. Thank you.
Bonsoir à toutes et à tous. Moi, c'est Florida Zossoungbo. Je suis journaliste, reporter d'images. J'ai décidé de réaliser mon reportage sur le biogaz. C'est tout un système qui est réalisé et grâce à ce dispositif, on utilise les déchets, mais précisément les déchets biodégradables pour avoir de l'énergie. Mais non seulement de l'énergie, mais aussi du gaz pour la cuisine. Donc, moi, j'ai décidé d'opter de faire un reportage sur ce type d'énergie durable parce que je me dis, en choisissant le biogaz, on résout non seulement le problème de l'électricité, mais aussi le gaz. La communauté n'a pas besoin forcément de dépenser pour avoir le gaz à la cuisine. Donc, une fois que le dispositif est installé, grâce au biogaz, on a l'électricité et le gaz à la cuisine. Merci.
So, ladies and gentlemen, voices of a brighter future. I truly encourage you to read their stories, but not only read their stories, also the young journalists are here to engage with you, to learn and listen and report of the work that is going on here. So I really encourage you to engage with them, have discussions with them, provide information to them, but I warn you, they ask very, very difficult questions. I know myself because they interviewed me today, and they asked me the question of, yes, so you say you are working here to make sure that also those people who are left furthest behind in my community will be brought up front, and so what is it that you are really doing for them? So just be prepared for their good questions. So we are about to finish this session, but I would also like to hear from you, from the audience. You've had a long day. What are the things that you have heard? What has resonated with you? Do you have ideas of how you would like to move forward as we are implementing the SDGs 7? And what are your impressions of today's discussions that we've had on the whole? I would like to ask 2 of our journalists to grab mics and people can put their hands up. And if you can go and, colleagues can hold your, you should go and provide opportunities for interaction with the, please.
I will.
Please take the microphone from the stand and give it to the people who are raising their hands.
My name is Faustina Bochy. Today I was very sad by the statistics that came up from the progress report, the energy progress report that was given by the World Bank. As far as clean cooking was concerned, I'm even emotional about it. Because this means that Our women are going to continue to suffer. Our rural women who are the only ones who do the cooking. The men don't care how the food gets to the table. And these women get bitten by snakes. They inhale so much smoke. They have their babies at their backs. Some have gone blind. They have cataracts, they have cancers, pneumonias. Their babies have cancers and pneumonias. And these women will continue to suffer because clean cooking by 2030 would have gotten nowhere. And I was very sad about it. And I pray that we'll go back and do something about it. Thank you.
So, my name is Ryan, and I am the community manager for Student Energy. One of the things that I find very inspiring about this event is how people from all around the world can come together to have a conversation on moving to achieving SDG 7, sustainable energy for all. One of the things that I would like to challenge this audience today to remember not to forget the people behind, and those in particular, the power of youth. Youth will be the owners and the future owner of the sustainable energy future, and they also have the ability to move the dial from 70% electrification to 100%. They have the innovation and they have the ideas. Let's not forget those who have those ideas, and let's invest, let's uplift, and let's empower those youth to take on that sustainable energy future and make sustainable energy for everyone. Thank you.
I'm Hashim Douala from Somalia, one of the countries that many people are left behind and without electricity. And I hear a lot and I learn a lot today. But my challenge to the world, especially the developed world, the rich countries, how on earth they think that the renewable energy can be transferred into those poor countries, given that the renewable energy is very expensive because it's gone to many research, and the people who put that research in, they need their return back. So my point and my challenge is that how then can that be transferred? Given the case of Somalia, we have 365 days of solar, 9 hours every day, the wind power and everything. Yet again, the country is facing those difficulties without electricity. One of the things that I always struggle with is that the UN and other donors always directly put the money into the government, thinking that the government will think for their people. Yes, they have many challenges and they are short of cash, so they will put where they think it's best for them at that minute, but nobody thinking. When I'm looking into this and I see all these people around this table, developers, the organizations like UN, the world leaders, what I am struggling with is how, and I would like to find that answer, how it will be possible those poor countries get expensive renewable energy transferred into those countries, and then meeting these sad statistics that my colleague over there made cry, and others in heart are crying. I think this conference and others to follow will have that answer for. And thank you very much for having me.
Hello, my name is Mahajan. I'm from the University of Southampton, UK. I really was thrilled to hear the lady there and our friend from Somalia talking about what we have done so far. The thing that really give me encouragement today is the fact that there are a lot of people trying to do for those people who are left behind, a lot of activities and also programs to have it to deliver on the sustainable energy for all targets. What I feel was missing from today's discussion is that we are dealing with a specific section of society, the people at the base of the pyramid who are really very poor, and affordability becomes a major issue. I didn't really hear very much about it today because that's the sort of thing that we need to think about. These people require different business models to allow them to get the access needed, both electricity and also cooking access. And if we don't think out of the box, we'll still be where we are now and maybe for the next 10 years. So in my view, this is one of the things that we need to think about and to make sure that actually has happened. The next point I want to make is related to how can we become accountable as people joined here together. And I think we should have a manifesto at the end of this conference, which is say by the next conference, we'll have 5% or 10% less of people who don't have access. And we should be accountable to that. The people who are actually doing this activity should be accountable to deliver it. Thank you very much.
So, ladies and gentlemen, I think that will bring us to the last speaker of this session. Thank you, audience, for bringing your voices, shining very real light on these issues of the last mile. How can we get there? It's been a very inspiring day. So thank you very much for participating in this session. Thank you.